Here's a question, FNAF fans. What do you want when you're playing a FNAF game? Like in general, both official and fan games. Maybe it's the atmosphere, maybe it's the scares, the story, the gameplay, maybe you have fond memories of the game. For me, it's the final night. Now, not all FNAF style games have to have a grand final night to be good. Take the first 3 games. Gameplay wise, it was the same format for all 5, 6, 7 nights. Really consistent there, Scott. It was only until the 4th game where the final nights decided to change the typical formula. The first 4 nights you've been doing the same 4 nightmare animatronics. And then you get to the basically final night. You have the strategy basically ingrained into your mind. You spawn in and you get to work. Until you hear this in the distance. You wonder if you heard that right. That wasn't in the previous nights, right? Maybe that's normal. Let's just check the hallway. Now that is scary. Experiencing a brand new character, a brand new enemy, it comes as a very nice surprise. Bring back that fear factor for when you're first playing the game. For me, what defines a good final night is the execution of the night and its challenging gameplay and its narrative impact. When you get that feeling that something different will happen on the final night based on the clues you get from playing the game, you know you're in for a real good final night. I feel like a lot of fan games like to use this formula because 1, it's so fucking genius and just awesome. So that's what I'm going to yap about today. Just a few examples of final nights I really like. So of course, FNAF 4. Nightmare Fredbear makes a lot of sense narratively. He's the reason FNAF 4 and its story exists. Everything about the bite and the reason why the crying child's friends are monstrous creations, Fredbear is the reason why everything is so distorted, why your final days are a living nightmare. When you complete Night 5, boom haha funny bites that I know you have that one friend group that just has this as a sound font on their fucking tab that always ready to strike. Oh no, I'm done, fucking done! Of course there's the infamous Night 6 and the 5 Nights games. Of course, you face off against both the Nightmares and Fredbear. So a final collection of characters before the final cutscene plays and you fight for the final time. You give a good final fight as you sit with your friends for the final time. And you pass away, with your brother apologizing. Even though he was rough on you, may seem like a bully, but it's nice to know that your final memory of him is bittersweet, as you say goodbye to your friends for the final. And then there's Night 7. Night 7 is interesting to me since it's supposedly after we die. I like to imagine Night 7 is like the final condemning, especially when you introduce the final antagonist, Nightmare. Now he's the thing. I really like Nightmare. Narratively, he's extremely impactful. Night 7 is similar to Night 6 where you have to play against the nightmares haunting you until 4 AM. What I like about Nightmare so much is that he's the final torch that goes out before everything goes dark. He's the last bit of battery in your flashlight because once that goes out...
Look at this, you lose your flashlight. What happens? We're finished. We're dead.
I like to imagine the entirety of Night 7 is the transition point of the crying child passing, and what we are seeing is his brain activity, his final moments after death before everything goes dark. Nightmare takes the form of Fredbear because, well, again, Fredbear is the reason all of this is happening, but Nightmare is shrouded in darkness. Reality as we know it is slowly fading away, and Nightmare being just referred to as Nightmare really sets that in stone. He's shrouded in darkness, he's transparent, he blends in, he's a shadow. He doesn't exist if there's no light to shine on him. It's why when we die to him, there's no movement, there's only a sound, like our body has given up. We all know we're going to die no matter what, but we fight so we can die on our own terms and not have this as the final thing we look at before everything goes dark. I kind of find it sympathetic in a way, and I know I'm more theorizing right now, and before you start commenting that I'm wrong and everything I say is bullshit, hold on to your horses, okay? I'm not saying any of this is canon, I'm just expressing my thoughts on shit that really has no impact on the story whatsoever, so please, I don't want another Golden Freddy situation where, instead of a common pro chef like, hey, nice video, here's my opinion, it was more like,
Dude, let's kill.
Communist fee.
What?
I have nothing left.
Anyway, back on topic. I really like this frame because it's like our personal nightmares looking at us fading out together. It's almost comforting in a way, like the symmetry of the innocent and the monster sharing a last moment together before everything ends. The monster can't live without the crying child, so either way, in the end, they both meet the same fate. Also, just a jab at this theory of Night 7 being our brain slowly fizzling out while we die. A night in FNAF 4 takes about 9 minutes to complete. The supposed brain activity that can happen after a human has died is 7 to 10 minutes. So hey, there's that little detail for you. Next game. Okay, I can't really count this because every night in this location is different, so the final night doesn't really hit as hard. That's just me. But even with that fact, the final secret night is really good. The whole thing of just fighting with Enid as they slowly creep towards the door with the creaking and metallic sounds, mixed in with Baby and Elizabeth's voice and their whole manipulative tactic. I actually have a video explaining Enid and their character, so if you're interested, please go check that out. And hey, if you like my content, show me some support by liking and subscribing. I'm gonna quickly move on from that since I know you don't want to hear me plead as I give a reason why I can't pay my landlord and his rent.
Give me rent.
Moving on to FNAF Fangames. Now the reason why is because FNAF 4 and this location kinda felt like the only games that have that final night formula. And I mean, with Pizzeria Sim, sure the cutscene is fucking awesome, acting like FNAF's Knife Symphony, but the gameplay is just the same thing. Nothing has really changed except the animatronics are just a little bit more active. Other than that, that's all. It's the same formula. And here's something I think would be cool, for a way to you guys to engage on this conversation. I haven't played every single FNAF fan game, I mean, who has? But I would say I haven't played the majority of fan games. So you have any recommendations for FNAF fan games? Maybe some that have this cool final night formula? If you could put them in the comments, I'd love to see your recommendations. Maybe we could do a stream, maybe I could rank them, who knows? One thing I want to bring up is the final night of the Joy of Creation, because this is really fucking cool. The whole combination of the Igniters becoming Creation, which is a really sick name and runs off the theme of the game and is a nice nod to the name of the game itself, the Joy of Creation. The joy of something old creating something new, and the mechanics is really good, balancing keeping creation away and trying to handle Golden Freddy, whilst keeping an eye on the Follens that lay from either side of your doors. Sadly, I can't talk about it here in great detail because, well, I've never played T-Jock. I can never get it to fucking run, so sadly, won't be on the list. But I wanted to give it a bit of a shine because it's a really good fan game. And well, actually now official game due to the Fazbear Fanverse initiative, which I still see some people say it's not official FNAF Media, even though it's under Scott's name. There's merchandise of it. But anyway, I've put aside 2 fan games that I've played that I think, in my opinion, have some pretty dope final nights. It's not a bit, I swear. Now this fan game, I'm kind of worried to say because if you know me, you might think there's a bit of biased opinions on this. And you would be absolutely right. Five Nights at Candy's as a series has some really good games. Remastered and 3 probably being a lot of people's top 10 FNAF games of all time. Now this final night formula, I have 2 examples. 1, the Monster Vinnie night, and 2, Shadow Candy's night. Or Night Null. Though technically, Night Null is only accessed through a secret, so you could play throughout the entire game without knowing this, so I'm gonna go with Monster Vinnie here. Now, if you don't know the plot of FNAC 3, let me give a rundown because with all good final nights, there is a narrative reason as to why they're there. So in FNAC 3, you play as a little girl named Mary. Mary has been experiencing night terrors after an incident that occurred at a place she went to called the Rat and Cat Theatre. And ever since that incident, she's been having nightmares of the titular characters, the rat and the cat respectively, in their monstrous forms. Now, Mary can't exactly remember what happened, so by playing the game, you get to learn more about Mary's past and what the incident may be. Here's where Vinnie comes in. So, like the Rat and Cat's mascots, there's another character, the Puppeteer, who is a ventriloquist puppet named Vinnie. One day, when all the kids are playing hide and seeks with the rat, Mary wanders off into the back rooms, a staff-only room, and hides in the closet. The rat actor comes in and comments on seeing Mary entering and tries to get her out. Quickly, the puppeteer runs into frame and yells at the rat, explaining how the actor of the rat has been drinking, and the thought of a public finding about one of the performers being drunk while performing would give a really bad impression on a place. A little argument happens that later goes into a fight. The puppeteer pushes the rat over and the rat falls, hitting the back of his head on the corner of the table, bleeding out. The puppeteer has killed the rat. The cat comes in and they call the cops. But if you think one of your actors being drunk was an issue, perhaps a manslaughter charge is a much worse fate for your job and you as a person. So the puppeteer has none of that and kills the cat, strangling him. He lies to the police and leaves. whilst Mary is in the closet seeing all of this. Mary remembers the incident and gets the law enforcement involved. After that, the puppeteer is sentenced and is charged for his crimes. In her nightmares, she confronts her final problem, her final monster, the real monster. A figment of the puppeteer in her imagination. Monster Vinnie is extremely challenging to deal with. He takes the gameplay aspect of Rat when you have to constantly shine the flashlight at him to keep him at bay. This guy does that, but on fucking steroids. Monster Vinnie twirls his head around in the random places in the circular motion opposed to the Rat's 3 key positions triangular movements, so he's a lot more slippery. And not only that, when he's decided that arguing with a 9-year-old is too much for him, he will scoot over to another position in the room. This motherfucker just stands up and leaves whilst in battle. He still argues with a 9-year-old, of course, but still, this guy is psychopathic, crazy. Get him out of here. And if you make one fuck up, if you don't stare into his dead eyes for a nanosecond, he kills you quicker than you can process that you've just been killed. By the time you've realized that, oh no, he spooked me, you are dead and you are eternally bleeding from your brain. Good luck, game over. This guy is fucked. What I like about Monster Vinnie is the rapid change up in gameplay. It's the same mechanic, but it's just amplified to really try to stun you. And the fact that on his model you can see what looks to be blood on his fingers, narratively shows the puppeteer figuratively having blood on his hands for killing the rat and the cat. I just think that's a really cool detail. The narrative is really simple, but really impactful with this night and the character of Monster Vinnie. Especially the build-up of, oh, I know what's coming. With the cutscene that plays at the start of the game and the start of the final night, seeing that distorted face and just eagerly waiting for him to show up until... Before we go into the final one today, let me give you a few honorable mentions. First of all, the Joy of Creation story mode like I covered a bit ago. Another one being Baby's Nightmare Circus. This one I actually have played. I couldn't really add this one since there's kind of a lot of quote-unquote final nights in this one. You get the Nightmare Ended boss fight and the Baby Gus one. I really like these, and Baby's Nightmare Circus is a really good fan game in itself. I totally recommend you play it. It has some really good content in its nights and its gameplay. There's also Five Nights at Freddy's 9, which is just, honestly, we peaked here as a society. Oh yeah, who can forget Endless Inside? The final one we'll tackle today is a FNAF fan game, Juniors. Now this game is probably my favorite final night in any Five Nights game, but of course, I gotta explain the narrative behind Juniors. So you wake up in this limbo state. You're not conscious, but you're not dead. You wake up in this void, and you meet a supposed person named Fredbear. Fredbear tells you about this ghost haunting Juniors, explain how this ghost is very ruthless. Fredbear explains how this limbo state is a holding place for him to hide in so he doesn't get caught by the ghost. We are a detective who was assigned to investigate Juniors, and each night we do exactly that. Gameplay wise, what we do is that we try to find the ghost who's possessing an animatronic. And throughout the nights we have to correctly guess which one of the animatronics is possessing, and once we guess enough correctly, we'll move on to the next night. Although every time we complete a night, we get a choice to view a VHS episode, and within these little episodes, there is a clear foreshadowing. On the final night, Fredbear references a basement that we have to go down to confront the ghost once and for all. So we head onto Junior's final night. And instead of the usual gameplay formula, you start out with this cutscene, which is straight out of the FNAF 2 trailer. Once you jump in, you start to see that the basement is very familiar. The holes, the vents, the mask, the faceless bunny at the start of the cutscene. This is the exact same location as FNAF 2, and with that has the exact same mechanics. Wind up the music box, keep Foxy at bay with the light, use the mask to keep the withered animatronics away, and stop BB in the left vent from disabling your flashlight. It's an extremely fresh take on FNAF 2's formula, just straight in. You already know what you need to do. The gears start to turn and you get into that zone again. You start to memorize that use of the mask and the time to wind up the music box, just like FNAF 2. And one thing this night has that really adds to the whole thing together is the score that plays. Starting off with the music track is beautiful because it's a remix of the FNAF 2 trailer, No Hope for Pluto. Especially with the children singing London Bridge at the very beginning. While you're dealing with the withered animatronics, we only wait in horrors of what this ghost has to offer, until the gameplay forcibly stops. This scene, absolutely terrifying. The multiple animatronics on the conveyor belt coming together and sacrificing themselves to form the mangle, but also the music track slowly building up with each second, the mangle's radio slowly coming through when the mangle is fully formed, and the phrase London Bridge repeats, almost like a symphony of souls is welcoming the arrival of this monster. And oh boy, what a monster it is. Look at the size of this thing, and it's coming for you. This ghost isn't showing any mercy, and it decided that instead of having these multiple threats coming at you at once, it decided to combine them all just to solidify that it's going to fuck you up in everything you stand for. It is absolutely the best interpretation of the Mangle character I have seen. Just this behemoth, this force of nature. You think Afton has anything to say about my girl? Or guy? Afton got nothing on this fucking poodle. When the Mangle was formed, a new mechanic is put into place, where you have to focus on the ghostly apparition while trying to keep the unstoppable force at bay. God, I love when FNAF games do this. They introduce like this final boss, and because this boss is so huge, so powerful, you can't get rid of it like the rest of the animatronics. You can't put a mask on it and it'll piss off. No, you have to hold this thing in place. Your goal is not to get rid of it, your goal is to stop it from processing towards you. It creates this new fear factor of this impending doom that you can never actually get rid of. The only thing you can do is delay the inevitable, and I love that so much. Have I talked about how much I love this yet? No? Okay. Whilst Mangozilla tries to hunt you down, you have to try and find the ghost on the camera and catch it with your light. If you don't, she'll break the cameras and disable your lights, which is essential to keep the Mangle at bay if they're in the hallway. The Mangle can also send an owl to go into your office. To get rid of it, you just pull up the mask. If you don't, you'll get one grisly death and one gnarly jump scare. And during the night, shit starts to float. Things are actively breaking apart. I love that this isn't considered a night. This is a fight. It's so frightening to try to actively look for the ghost and just hear the Mangle stomping around, actively roaring as it gets closer and closer to you, as if it's slowly dragging its gigantic body towards you, getting used to its behemoth size. Once you reach 6 AM, you'll get the FNAF 2 ending chime, which is just a really nice detail. There's a nice little story with Juniors, and well, that has a lot of ties in with FNAF story, and especially FNAF 2. It's really good, and I highly recommend you go check it out. Although you've probably already seen it because of the boss fight in particular. Look at this. 2.9 million views on the music track alone. Crazy stuff.
Stop fucking shooting me! What the fuck is wrong with you? Chill!
It was a misinput! Calm down! You calm the fuck down! There was a misinput!
Hello everyone. Hope you all enjoyed this video. And no, don't ask, I'm definitely not recording this at 2 AM in the morning. I've been meaning to pump out more videos like this, but I've just been having somewhat of a toll recently. I'm conflicted on the content I want to make and the content that need my assistance to even be possible to be released. It's an extremely difficult position to be put in, but I can't really blame anyone but myself. It's a real pain, and it's definitely a challenge, but it's a challenge I want to experience and overcome with you guys. So again, thank you all for watching. It is I, Communist B, despite my name no means a communist, and I am out.